The domed city of Varelia shimmered beneath twin suns, its spires reflecting gold and sapphire across the crystalline lakes below. Inside the palace, Ambassador Jack Rayner adjusted the lapels of his dark uniform and sighed. His job wasn't diplomacy, it was protection. He was here for one reason only, to keep the alien princess alive. Princess Thalyra of the Zalari Dominion was more than royalty. She was a symbol of peace between the fractured empires of the Orion cluster. Tall, statuesque, with opalescent skin and luminous eyes that shifted between violet and silver, she was revered like a goddess. To Jack, she was just another assignment. But she had surprised him. She asked questions, laughed at his Earth slang, snuck away from her royal escorts to walk the gardens barefoot. And she looked at him, not with superiority, but with quiet curiosity. "I don't understand humans," she said one evening, as the moonlight filtered through vines of bioluminescent flora. "You value freedom more than survival. And you value rules more than living," Jack had replied, smirking. That night, she hadn't argued. The peace summit was a powder keg. On the last day, Thalyra stepped onto the ceremonial dais, surrounded by layers of security and ancient ritual. Jack stood 10 paces behind, scanning the crowd with narrowed eyes. Something felt off. The air tasted like ozone. A shadow twitched across the far balcony. Jack's instinct screamed. A shimmer, a stealth cloak failing under high energy output. He didn't think. He moved. The sniper fired. Thalyra never saw the shot. Jack shoved her down, arms spread wide. The pulse round tore through his back, erupting from his shoulder in a spray of blood. He collapsed beside her, gasping. "Jack." Her voice cracked. "Jack." He coughed. "Told you rules suck." They evacuated him under heavy guard. The Zalari physicians did what they could. The round had fragmented near his spine, burned tissue, severed nerves, internal bleeding. The healing tanks stabilized him but wouldn't undo the damage. Not in time. The human doctors on station estimated he had 12 hours left. Princess Thalyra sat beside him, her ceremonial robes stained with his blood. She dismissed the guards. Her hands trembled. "You should have let me die," she said. Jack smirked weakly. "That's terrible bedside manner. You are dying. I've died worse." She laughed bitterly, then silenced herself. Her fingers hovered over his chest. "There is another way. Pretty sure your healers already tried all the ways." "No," she whispered. "A forbidden one. A transfer of life essence. A bond that cannot be undone. It was outlawed centuries ago. Too many died trying to master it." Jack blinked. "Sounds kinky." Her lips curled. "You joke because you're afraid. I joke because I'm dying." He locked eyes with her. "Do it. You don't understand what you're agreeing to. I understand one thing. You live, I live. That's a deal I'll take." She closed her eyes. Her hands began to glow with pulsing light, bright enough to cast dancing shadows across the sterile walls. Alien runes surfaced on her skin, burning like liquid fire. A wind rose in the sealed room, rustling papers, lifting hair. Jack arched in pain. His body seized. His heart thundered. Visions slammed into his mind, memories that weren't his. Wars. Crowns. Lovers. Sorrow. Eternity. And then peace. He fell back unconscious. He awoke 3 days later. The pain was gone. The wound was gone. But something else was inside him. He saw it in the mirror. His eyes shimmered faintly violet in the dark. He heard whispers of thoughts that weren't his own. He could sense Thalyra's presence even when she wasn't near. He was alive. And changed. The High Council of Zalari was furious. The bond was illegal, a relic of ancient mysticism. Worse still, it linked their princess permanently to a human. "You've cursed her," they spat. "I saved her," Jack growled. "No," Thalira corrected. "He saved us both." But the bond could not be reversed. She had given him part of her life force. Their lives were now tethered. If she died, so would he. That was a risk the council could not accept. 1 week later, assassins came again. This time for Jack. He fought like hell, senses sharper, muscles faster, instincts burning. But even with the enhancements, he would have died again if Thalira hadn't stepped into the fray. She wielded a staff humming with ancient power, her eyes blazing. They fought back to back. And when it was over, covered in blood and ash, Jack turned to her, panting. "We're in this together, huh?" She nodded, tears tracking down her cheeks. "I don't want to lose you again." They fled. Across star systems, from border worlds to hidden moons, they ran. Together. She taught him the old ways, how to control the link, how to resist its call. In return, he taught her how to aim a plasma rifle and use sarcasm as a weapon. They became legend. The bonded pair. The rogue princess and her Terran guardian. They rescued villages, sabotaged warlords, brokered peace in bloodied systems. But always the council hunted them. Until one day, they were cornered. On a frost world called Kairos 9. A fleet descended, blocking the skies. Jack loaded the last of their weapons. "Well, we had a good run." Thalira stood at the edge of the ruined temple. Her eyes blazed. "Then let's make the end worth remembering." The first wave came. They fell. The second. Then the third. Jack fought like a demon, his body moving faster than human limits should allow. Thalira called down storms, her forbidden energy flaring like a supernova. Still, they were surrounded. And then something strange happened. The people of Kairos 9, inspired by what they'd seen, rose. Farmers, miners, children. Armed with scrap and hope. They fought. And they won. In the aftermath, the council arrived not as executioners, but as diplomats. The tide of public opinion had turned. The galaxy had seen what Jack and Thalira stood for. Not rebellion. Unity. The bond once seen as heresy was now a symbol of harmony between species. The council relented. Thalira was crowned once more, not just as princess, but as queen. And Jack? He stood at her side. No longer just her protector, but her partner. On the eve of her coronation, she found him on the balcony, staring at the stars. "They still scare you?" she asked. He didn't look at her. "The stars?"
"No."
"What comes after?" "You fear the bond." He shook his head. "I fear not being worthy of it." She placed a hand on his chest. "You are." He turned to her. "Then stay with me. Not because you have to, but because you want to." "I already am." She kissed him, and the stars, for once, seemed silent. Epilogue. Years passed. The Zalari-Human alliance grew. Trade routes opened. Hybrid schools taught the old ways and the new. And on the throne sat a queen with violet silver eyes and a smirk she learned from Earth. Beside her, a human once broken by war, now whole through love. Their story, once forbidden, became legend. A tale told to children. Of a human who took a bullet not for glory, but for her. And of an alien princess who broke every rule to save him. Together, they rewrote the stars.